let's move now to, let's start by the registration form, and later we will move to login form. So let's bring form from Bootstrap. We have already defined form here. If you go to the, where is the components, we have here the form. So move down, as you can see we have this form, so let's use it for the registration. So let's add div with class container and another div with row, margin top and bottom of 5, and div with call md of 6 and margin left and right auto. And here let's put form, or let's also add another div with a card and another div with the card header with bg whites. And here let's put h3 with text center and margin top of 2 and register. So let's take a look and see what we have. So as you can see, we have the register. Also, I think h3 is a little bit bigger, so let's add just h4. So we have the register. Let's add div with card body, and here add the form. So here let's add form. So we have this one. So let's add the closing for the inputs. Change this one. We have the email and password, and let's close it here also. And what else we have? We have checkbox, so we don't need a checkbox. Let's move this one to, or let's move this one here, just to organize the form and add name. So we need also name. So let's add name. So here we need the name, and add a star to tell the user that these fields are required. So let's change this one to for name, and the type is text. The ID, we don't need this one. So we have here what is else, we don't need this one also. So we have everything we need. Let's take a look and see. We have name, email address, password, and submit button. So let's add the variables that we will need to hold or to send the user data. So let's organize the code here and start adding our variables. So the first variable will be name. And it will take an empty value. Also we need password or the email and then the password. So we have the email and also the password. So we have here the password. So what else we need? We need also another one to hold the validation errors. So let's call it errors and set errors. And we will handle the validation errors later. And it will take an empty, or just let's give it null. So what else we have? We need navigate to navigate the user. So let's bring the use navigate hook. And also we need loading to handle loading, set loading, and use states and give it false as default value. And later we will add other variables, but for now we will only keep these ones. Next we add the function that will handle submit, and this function will be sync and it will receive the events. And once we have the events, we prevent the false events, so to prevent form from submitting or from refreshing. Next we need to set the errors, which is the array that or the objects that will contain the validation errors. We need to set it again to null, and we set loading to false, not to false but to true, because we are sending data. And let's add a variable which is data that will contain name, email, and the password. And let's add try and catch. And here we will get the response. Let's await Axios dot. Don't forget to import Axios.post, and it will take us to the routes that we will add later, and we need to send the data. And once we send the data, we need to set the loading to false. And what else? We need to set the name to an empty string, and same thing for the password and the email. So set email and set password. What else we have? We need to display success message. So we used toast, and don't forget to import the toast from here. Toast.success, and the message, we will get the message from the backend. If you go back to the user controller, we have already the message here, which is account has been created successfully. So we will use the response.data.message. And what else we need? That's all. And we need also to navigate the user to login page. And if we have any errors, so we need to set loading to false. And what else? Also, we need to check for the validation errors. So if we have validation error, so we'll get a response or an error that contains a response, and the response status code will be 422. If we have this status code, then that means that we have a validation error. So we need to set the errors to the error dot response dot data dot errors. So we will see that later in action, and we need to check if we have the error, if the error has a response and the response has the status, then we set the errors. If not, we will only console and log the error. So that's all for this function. Now we need to use it inside our form. So here inside the form, let's go down, and once the form submitted, so add submit, not this one, but on submit. So we need to provide the events and execute function that we have defined. And also we need here to add on change for the inputs. So let's add the value first and then on change. So the value will be name, and on change we have here the events, and we set name to the events.targets.value, and later we will handle the validation errors. And same thing for the email and password. So inside input here, let's add the value, which will be the email, and set the email to the target.value. Also the same thing for the password. So here we have the password. So the value will be password, and set the password to the password that's provided by the user. Now we have not done with the registration yet, but we have added the main functionality, but we need to add here, we need to provide the link, and we will use the same link inside login and logout. So let's define inside src, let's define or add helpers folder, and here let's add the config.js file, and inside here let's define our main URL. So let's export const, and let's name it base URL. So the base URL will be inside http://127.0.0.1 and the ports 8000/API. So this is our main or the base URL. So we will use it here inside the registration. So let's use the base URL. So the base URL, so let's import it, and don't forget to import it. And base URL will take us to user register. So let's take a look and see what we have here. Let's refresh just to clear console and see if we have anything wrong here. Then we fix it first. Let's change the classes to class name. So here we have some classes. So this one and this one, this one, all these classes, let's change them to class name. Let's refresh and see if we have anything wrong. And we have HTML4. Where is the HTML4? So I think it's inside label. So this one, which is the 4. So let's use HTML4. And also here. And also here. And let's refresh and see what we have here. And now we don't have anything. Let's submit the data and see what we will get. And as you can see, we have refused to connection because I forgot to start the server here. So let's start the server. Now the server has been started. Let's send again and see what we will get. And as you can see, we have 422. And if you look here, you have the response. Inside the response, we have status, which is 422. That's why we have the code here, this one. We check for the response status and 422, this one. And once we have that, so we look for the errors, this one. So here we have the errors objects, and contains validation errors. And if we check array that we have here, which is the errors, as you can see here, we have name field is required, email, and password. So let's display the validation errors, and to display the validation errors, we will use a custom hook, because we will also display the validation errors inside the login page. So we don't need to use or to repeat ourselves. So here inside the components, let's add another one, which is custom. And inside custom, let's name it use validation.jsx, and we will, I think, let's add the structure, but I think we don't need to import React. Here we will only export the components. So use validation, and this component will take the errors, which is the objects and also the field. So as you can see here, so the name or the objects errors contains the name of the field, and the name of the field contains an array, and inside first index 0 we have the error. So we will use the name of the field to display the error. That's why here we have the field. And what we will do, we will return. So here let's remove this one, and we will loop through the errors. If we have errors, field, as I said, does the field is an array, so we will use name of the field as the index. And if we have errors, so let's use the length. If so, then we map through each error. So we use errors field, and we map through each one, and we get the error. So not here, but here we get the error. And once we have the error, we need also the index. So let's add also, because we need index, we have error and index to add k. And once we have this one, so we will return JSX, which contains a div with an alerts, danger, and this div will display the error. And here the div needs k, and let's give it index. So here we have the index, and here we have the error. Now we have to use validation hook. We need to use it. So to use it inside form. So here let's bring the hook. So use validation. Don't forget to import it. It takes the errors, which is the objects, and field name. The field name here, and the field name here is name. And what else we have? Also we have another one for email. And what else we have here? We have this div is for this one. Okay, so here we have the password. So let's add the password. So let's add the password. Let's check and see what we have now. Let's hit submit. And as you can see, the name field is required, email field is required, the password field is required. And you can customize the if you don't want to use alert, which is danger, we can use something else. For example, let's use bg danger and padding of 3, text white, rounded, and let's see what we will get. But I think it's bigger. Let's use only 1. So I think it's better, but we can use 2. And we need also margin. Let's use margin top and bottom of 1. As you can see now, it's better than the default alert of Bootstrap. Okay, so let's try to. I think we have something else that I did not add, which is loading. So we did not handle loading. Here we have loading. So we need to add another component here inside layouts. Here let's add another one, which is spinner. So when the data is loading, we will display spinner. So let's go back here and look for spinner inside components. So here we have spinners. Let's bring this one and put it here. And inside div, let's add the class name. Let's give it the flex and justify, or we can give it, okay, let's give it the flex and justify, or without putting it inside the, I want to put the spinner in the center, but we don't need that. We only return spinner. And here inside the registration, let's check for the loading. If we are loading the data, then we will display the spinner. If not, we will display the button. So let's import spinner and use it. So here we have spinner. Don't forget to import it. So let's check and see what we have here. Let's click on the button. As you can see now, we have the spinner. And here there is a class inside spinner. So let's fix it. Inside spinner here, let's change it to class name. And now if I hit submit, as you can see, we have spinner. Let's now register a new user. So let's call a new user, John Doe. John, email, john@email.com, and add a password. Let's check for the minimum of the password. So the password field must be 6 characters. Let's add the password, John1234. Let's hit submit. As you can see, the account has been created successfully and I am redirected to the login page.